Hey, today I wanted to share a letter from a reader. We get quite a few of these, and I've never shared one before, so let's try this one. Do you have any tips on how to handle this child of mine? Some days he can grasp math and understand it quickly and work through any problem with ease. And then there are days where it seems there's absolutely no trace of the same kid and the concepts are too challenging. Oftentimes when things get challenging, especially in math, we've all heard that one, he seems to shut down and lose all brain power and ability to focus. I want to be able to push him, but I don't know if there's really a focus and understanding problem or if he's being lazy. I can't take much more of this. Any advice? Well, yes. Here's the first thing I would say is don't start with lazy. It's really easy to do because you're almost encouraged to do that. That's what the whole world tends to see when they look at our kids. They're just not trying. No kid wants to be the only one who doesn't understand the concept. No kid wants to be sitting at a table full of kids who are working away and they get it and they can do it and he is struggling. No kid wants to be the one who is kept back from recess to do these problems when all of his friends get to go out. He wants to be able to do these things, and very often, many of our kids just can't. So here's the thing. If you're worried and you're not sure if it's laziness or you're not sure if he's just really struggling with focus, it's very easy. Test it. Give him some tools to help him pass over the focusing issue, to overcome that obstacle, and if those tools work, if it sticks, then you know it was a focusing issue. It wasn't a behavioral issue. It wasn't about this kid just trying to push your buttons. I would go up to the whiteboard and I would write down my daughter's math problem. And so maybe she had to add four digit numbers, a sequence of maybe 4 of them. And I would write them down and draw a line under it and put a plus sign, and then I would step over to the center of the board and I would begin writing down the next problem. Now here's the game that we came up with. She would do her best to do that math problem and be done with it before I was done writing the next one. And sometimes she would make it and sometimes she wouldn't. But when she made it, she got to turn to me and start doing the Jeopardy song. So she'd go, dun, 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 dun. And I would do this, oh my goodness, okay, you're too fast, okay? That was it. That's all it took. But we could zip through a whole bunch of her math problems in like 3 minutes. The same math problems that if they were on a workbook, on her desk, in front of her with a pencil in her hand, might take an hour and a half. Another one is sometimes these kids open up their book and they look at 45 math problems and they go, "Wah!" And they just shut down. They're overwhelmed by how many there are to do. And you and I both know they can do these problems. We know. So don't even let them see the book. Take the book away. And then I will take scrap paper and I would just cut it into fourths. And I would give my child one problem at a time on a piece of scrap paper, hand it to them. And so they would sit there and they would do that math problem. And when they did it and we agreed that they'd gotten it right, they would just crumple it up and toss it. We had this little kind of, basketball hoop hanging in our kitchen, and they would get it in the hoop. And that was all it took. That was all the reward it took. One of the things I created a long time ago was this thing called Vicky Velpinoid from Venus. This is a particularly good one if you are doing flash facts or math facts, where they have to go through a whole bunch of the 3 addition cards or subtraction cards or multiplication cards and so on. Here's the way the game would work. I would put one of the empty Vicky Velpinoid from Venus boards in front of my child, piece of paper, just a copy. And Vicky wants to go home. You can see Vicky is not from here, and she is out of fuel. Her fuel pods are empty. I would then take the flash cards and hold them up in front of my child. Okay, 3 times 5. And they would say 15. They get it right, I put it in the right pile. 2 times 7, 14. They get it right, I put it in the right pile. 3 times 7, they say 18. Nope, that one's wrong. I recirculate it. Obviously, that was a math fact they need a refresher on. But when they have 5 cards in their correct pile, we said they had a pod. And they can now take that Vicky board and color in one of her fuel pods. So then we just keep working through the flashcards until Vicky finally has all of her fuel pods colored in, and she, again, now you can decide what happens next. Maybe that's all it takes. The fuel pods are filled, the game is over. For my kids, again, they wanted to wad it up and toss it into a trash can. I had a dad come to me once after a conference, and he said what his kids would do, he and his son would take this game board out, and they would put it on a tree, and they would target practice. So, whatever it is that motivates your child, run with it and make that work. I will tell you, I wish I had figured this out sooner, because in those early years, I think I was too quick to go to lazy. And if your child is being lazy, that's a whole different issue. But here's the thing, if they're not, if they really wish they could do this, if they're struggling so hard to focus and they can hear in your voice, you think they're lazy, they're going to own that pretty soon and they're going to feel so defeated. You can show them differently. You can show them that with a different approach and building up their toolbox of ways to turn it into games, even for themselves, and they can make a focusing ability out of this, you have empowered them. There you go. Thanks for tuning in to Sizzle Bop, where we're always trying to give you one more thing to try.